And we're back for our daily NBA predictions here on the channel for Sunday, March 30th. We've got 8 games today in the National Basketball Association, and we're going to predict every single one of them like we've been doing all year long. Now, folks, before we get into the predictions, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. Earlier today, we posted our college basketball best bets. It is the final 2 games of the Elite Eight, Tennessee versus Houston, Michigan State versus Auburn. We got predictions and best bets for both of those games. That is linked in the description down below. And also earlier today, we posted our MLB best bets. We're doing this all year long with the MLB, and we've gotten off to such a hot start with that, so make sure to go check that out. That is linked in the description down below. Later today on Greedo Plays MMA, we'll have our UFC Fight Night Emmett versus Murphy full card predictions, again 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. Okay, on to the first of our 8 games today, and we start in Cleveland, Ohio, between the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Los Angeles Clippers. Guys, should we start to get concerned? English is hard. About the Cleveland Cavaliers. I don't know. I really don't know. That Pistons loss the other night, I get it, Detroit's good. No Cade Cunningham, and you still lose to the Pistons by 11 points, right? The Cavs, they had lost 4 in a row, Magic, Clippers, Kings, and Suns. They win 3 in a row, so you're like, all right, they're fine, but at the same time, they beat the Jazz, Blazers, and Spurs and barely got by San Antonio. And then they go to Detroit and lose. Now, yes, the Cavaliers are likely already on their way to the 1 seed, but they only now have a 4-game lead over Boston. I think it's still going to be very hard for them to lose that. But man, I'm starting to get worried about the Cavs. I really am. And when we look at a potential 7-game series against the Hawks, Magic, or Bulls, 3 teams that actually aren't playing that badly right now, I start to get a little concerned. I'm not going to lie. Does Cleveland beat the Clippers tonight? I don't know. I really don't know. If you were considering, putting the minus 290 on your parlay somewhere, I wouldn't do it. Now, I am picking the Cavaliers to win the basketball game, but that's not the best bet for the game. This is obviously plus 7.5 for the Clippers. I think Los Angeles keeps this game fairly close. They played 2 back-to-back games in New York against the Knicks and the Brooklyn Nets. They won both of those outings, and now they go to Cleveland to take on the Cavaliers. Now, no Kawhi Leonard tonight. Kawhi's out with a knee injury. A little bit surprising, but that just tells me that Kawhi will be playing tomorrow night in Orlando instead. I'm kind of surprised they just wouldn't want him to play this game, but it's okay. Kawhi will be back tomorrow against the Magic. But still, man, James Harden, Ivica Zubac, those guys put in work. Norman Powell has kind of taken a step back as of late. I mean, obviously Powell's still a presence, but it's been more of Harden and Kawhi when Kawhi's obviously on the court. But it's been James Harden since the All-Star break really taking over and putting in big work for the Los Angeles Clippers. And I am concerned about the Cavaliers. I just am. Guys, recently against good teams, this team has not been performing. Hell, the last time these 2 teams played, I get it, Donovan Mitchell didn't play. The Clippers beat them in the Intuit Dome. I don't know. I just don't know what the Cavs are going to be. They are getting cold at the wrong time, and I think the Clippers play them very close tonight. I'm not telling you the Clippers win, but I just think it's a very competitive basketball game. I'm taking Clippers plus 7.5. Money line, sure, maybe Cleveland gets it. They are minus 290 for a reason. But I wouldn't play that personally. I would not put it in any of your parlays or whatnot. I think the best bet here is Clippers on the points. So it's going to be Los Angeles plus 7.5 here on the road in Cleveland. We go on to our second game of the day, and we move to the Garden. The New York Knicks take on the Portland Trailblazers. I'm going to take Portland on the points as well. I'm sure New York probably wins. I just think 8.5 is too much. That's why I'm going to take the Blazers. Portland has lost 3 straight games in a row. They lost to Boston, Cleveland, and then in Sacramento. Now they go on the road to New York. Should be a tough game, don't get me wrong, but I don't really trust the Knicks to cover this line. I get they just beat the Bucks by 9 points the other night in Milwaukee. I don't know. I think it's a lot. This is a Blazers team that does play fairly well, right? I know they've lost a couple games in a row, but the Knicks are still hurt, right? They still have a point guard. Brunson, Payne, and McBride are all out for this game, and obviously that didn't hurt them in the Bucks game. But guys, Milwaukee's a team without, Damian Lillard at this point, and I just don't know what the Bucks are going to be for the rest of the season. So the Knicks, right? They started DeLon Wright. A surprising move, but DeLon Wright put in 30 minutes, scored 12 points. Okay. He's a player who barely has played this season. He averages 2.5 points a game, and that's primarily because of the 12 he put up the other night. So it is what it is. They're starting DeLon right there. Is it a matchup that Portland's going to be able to exploit? I don't know. Anthony Simons is a dynamic and a really good point guard. The work that Deni Avdija has been putting in, especially the last couple months here for Portland. Off the bench, Scoot Henderson, Shaedon Sharpe. I believe Henderson might be out tonight, though. Henderson's still out with a concussion, and then Anthony Simons is questionable. Ooh, that's... If Simons doesn't play, this kind of gets tough. Now, Shaedon Sharpe will enter the starting lineup, but then you get no depth in terms of the guard work for the Portland Trailblazers. I just think the Blazers keep this game tight. I think the Knicks win it, but I just don't think about that much. Again, DeLon Wright in the starting lineup. No Miles McBride, no campaign. Obviously, Jalen Brunson's still out for maybe a week. I don't know what the latest update is on him, but the playoffs are coming up in a couple of weeks, right? Brunson's got to come back sooner rather than later. Obviously, though, still out for this game against the Blazers. I think Portland keeps it competitive, but ultimately, yes, I think the New York Knicks win the basketball game. So that's the pick here. We're going plus 8.5 here on Portland, but a New York victory. Again, I would only play the Blazers spread. Honestly, I like the Clippers spread better than this one, and I think there's better plays throughout the day. So give me Portland here on the spread against the Knicks. And I might contradict what I just said earlier, but I am taking the Milwaukee Bucks to beat the Atlanta Hawks. I know, kind of a shock, I get it, because I always take the Atlanta Hawks. I understand. These teams are 2-2 this season. I just like Milwaukee at home. If the Bucks lose this game, we're completely off them for the rest of the season. I'm not joking. Like, I will not pick the Bucks the rest of the year. I'll pick the Suns to go into Milwaukee and beat them on Tuesday. I'm just taking the Bucks. They're at home. And for as much as I like Trae Young and as much as I like the Hawks, that loss in Miami sucks. Trae obviously with another great night, but that's a game you kind of hope they win. The game in Houston, they were very competitive and came back from down big. I don't mind that one. I just don't like the situational spot for them here. Giannis has always played fairly well against Atlanta. This is a rematch of the Eastern Conference Finals back in 2021. I know that doesn't really apply anymore, but it is a thing, I guess. Eventually, Giannis is going to have to put on the complete backpack. And that's what he kind of did in the next game, right? Antetokounmpo at 39-7. But if the Bucks are going to want any chance to do anything in the playoffs this season, that's what this team is going to have to be. It's going to be Giannis, and I'm not talking 30-point nights. I'm talking 40-point nights. That's legitimately what needs to happen. I think sooner rather than later, Giannis does attempt to put on that backpack, and then he takes a decision from there on out to see, all right, is this really worth it or not? Because, how far can the Bucks really go without Dame? Drew Holiday's long gone. Middleton's gone. We have Kuzma and Brook Lopez now, and Taurean Prince. How far can Giannis get them, right? It's a game, though, against the Hawks, where as long as the Bucks perimeter guys and everyone not named Antetokounmpo is able to fulfill their role on defense, if Brook Lopez and, really, Giannis is going to be trying to get boards because Lopez doesn't really do that. They should be able to, again, limit the second chance possessions that the Hawks are able to get. We know Atlanta is going to shoot, but at Milwaukee, I guess not a horrible defensive team. They've been playing like a horrible defensive team. I don't know what the Bucks are doing well right now, man. Giannis, I just think the style of game does slightly favor Milwaukee. They're at home. I think we're getting more points than we would have gotten. I think the Bucks would be like a 5.5, 6.5 point favorite if it wasn't for the recent struggles. For as much as I like Atlanta, I think Milwaukee is still slightly the better team. In a 7-game series, I'd probably take the Bucks. I don't know. But going back to my point earlier, I think Antetokounmpo is going to continue to put on the backpack. Who's going to stop him on Atlanta? I mean, Dyson Daniels is a great defensive player, but you can't, he's not big enough to guard Giannis. It's going to be Zachary Grissett. Don't love it. Trae Young, questionable, probable for this game. He's probable for every game. Same can be said about Antetokounmpo. I'm taking the Bucks to get this one. Personally, though, I'd lay off it. There's too many random variables here. I mean, I'll be cheering on the Hawks like I always do. But this is a spot where I do, I'm okay with the Bucks. So I'll take Milwaukee minus 3.5. Not my favorite spot of the day. But hey, guys, I do bet against the Hawks, Pacers, and Lakers every once in a while, right? So give me Milwaukee here on the line. Not my favorite play, though. Like this one better, honestly. Pistons on a second night of a back-to-back in Minnesota. I like the Timberwolves a lot. I think they blow them out in this game. I'm not going to say that Detroit victory over Cleveland was luck. It definitely wasn't. But Cade Cunningham is still not playing. He's doubtful for this game with Minnesota. That means he's not going to give it a go. Tim Hardaway had a great night against Cleveland, right? Hardaway, 32 points last night. Dennis Schroeder gives him 17. Malik Beasley gives him 19. Asar Thompson gives him 18. And Jalen Duren with 16 points. Hell, Isaiah Stewart with 14 off the bench. I mean, Detroit's a really good and a very talent-heavy team. It was a very competitive game, though. It was the game where, their star players played 35 minutes, right? Hell, Dennis Schroeder played 40. I just don't know what they're going to be on a second night of a back-to-back. They were in Detroit yesterday. They got to go all the way to Minnesota. I know that's not that far of a plane ride at all, but still, you're on the road now, and you're taking on a really good Timberwolves team. A Minnesota team that had lost 3 of 4 going into their last outing against the Phoenix Suns. We talked about it a little bit, and I'll say it again. Anthony Edwards owns the Phoenix Suns now. He just does. That is He has partial ownership of the Phoenix Suns franchise now. And I know he didn't even have the best game against them the other night, only scored 20 points. But the Timberwolves just don't lose to the Suns anymore. So, anyways, Minnesota's coming off a victory. They're 10 games over 500, and we talk about this race in the postseason, or at least in the playoffs right now for the Western Conference, right? We know the top 5 teams are. Now, the Grizzlies are teetering to potentially join this next tier, but real quickly we'll break it down. Tier 1, Thunder. Tier 2, Rockets, Nuggets, Lakers, Grizzlies. Tier 3, Clippers, Warriors, Timberwolves. Tier 4, Mavs, Kings, Suns. Okay, potentially the Grizzlies might fall into tier 3. We'll see. Anyways, the Clippers, Warriors, and Timberwolves all have 42 wins. They are all fighting to get out of the play-in because 2 of those teams are going to have to play each other in the play-in round. The other team is going to get the 6th seed and automatically advance to the playoffs. Every game is absolutely crucial for the Timberwolves. And honestly, for the Pistons, they know where they're going to be in the playoffs. It's likely going to be a 5 seed in a first-round matchup against their rivals, I guess. It's kind of a one-sided rivalry, but they're rivals in the Indiana Pacers. It looks like the Bucks are going to be 6 and take on the Knicks in the first round. So every game is absolutely crucial for the Timberwolves. You know they're going to come out firing. You know Ant's probably going to have a big night. And also, I don't think the Pistons are all that sustainable winning-wise without Cade Cunningham on the court. Again, great victory last night. And the Pistons are a deep squad, and they're talented. But they're not going to continue to win games every single night, especially against good teams like Minnesota, without Cunningham on the court. So I'm taking the Timberwolves to win this one and cover the 7.5 points. It is the Pistons coming off the second night of a back-to-back. They might be resting guys. Let's just be honest, guys. Detroit knows where they're going to be in the playoffs. The only thing they could push for at this point is to overtake the Pacers and try to get that series at home, but still that'd take a little bit. No Cade, Schroeder's questionable. I wouldn't be surprised if they sit a couple guys tonight and the Timberwolves are just going to roll right over them. This game means a lot more to Minnesota than it does to Detroit. This is just what we got to think about at this point in the season, being late March and coming into early April. So give me the Timberwolves here, minus 7.5. Next up, we go to the Hornets Bowl, right? Formerly known as the New Orleans Hornets take on the Charlotte Hornets. It's the Bobcats versus the New Orleans Hornets here, right? Give me the Pels. Don't bet this game, guys. Don't do it. Actually, you know what? No, don't bet it. The Pels have too many injuries. I was thinking, about saying, no, bet the Pelicans. It's not the worst bet. Nah, it's just, they're so hurt, guys. So the Pels injury report today, it's, this is what this part of the NBA is, right? We talk about the tiers, right, in the Western Conference. Well, the Pelicans are in the tank tier, right? So, Charlotte actively trying to lose. New Orleans actively trying to lose. Who can get better odds for Cooper Flag is the question, right? LaMelo Ball out for the season. I predicted that a long time ago. Seth Curry out tonight. Josh Green out tonight. Mark Williams out tonight as well for Charlotte. Miles Bridges is still playing, though, for the Hornets. For the Pelicans, we know Trey Murphy's out for the season. Same with Herbert Jones. Same with DeJounte Murray. Tonight, no Zion Williamson out with the back injury. No Brandon Boston. No CJ McCollum. Questionables Kelly Olynyk and Jordan Hawkins. So you might be asking, where are the points going to come from tonight for New Orleans? Good question. Really good question. Bruce Brown? I mean, Bruce Brown's a capable player. He has fallen off a cliff since the Nuggets title run. He goes to Indiana, gets sent to Toronto in the Pascal Siakam trade, and we really haven't heard much out of him. But Bruce Brown quietly has been putting up better numbers. Held in the Warriors game where the Pelicans were competitive through 3 quarters and just fell apart in the fourth, second half of the third quarter. But still, Bruce Brown, 18 points, right? I mean, quietly, Bruce Brown can get it together. And guys, I'm not in the player props business with basketball. Whatever Bruce Brown's line is, I'd go over tonight. He's a more than capable shooter. He's a more than capable scorer, and I think he'll give him at least 20 tonight, especially with no CJ, no Zion, and maybe even no Kelly Olynyk. So I expect a big night tonight out of Bruce Brown. I think the Pels reserves are slightly better than the Hornets reserves. Guys, the Charlotte Hornets are going to be starting KJ Simpson, Nick Smith, Daquan Jeffries, Miles Bridges, and Yusuf Nurkic tonight. You can get in this game for $2 tonight if you're in the New Orleans area. Great. I'm taking the Pels. Don't bet it. Both of them are trying to lose, but I think the Pels are slightly better. So give me New Orleans. Minus 3.5. Next up, we go to San Antonio, Texas for the San Antonio Spurs and the Golden State Warriors. Warriors are 12.5 point favorites. I'll take them to cover this. San Antonio has not been playing their best basketball since going on that 3-game winning streak against the Knicks, 76ers, and Raptors. They lose 3 in a row. 2 really good teams in the East, don't get me wrong. Detroit, Cleveland, and Boston. I think the Warriors just put belt to ass in this game. Curry's back, and yeah, the Warriors are a force with him back in the lineup. Steph is probable tonight. He played his first game back in New Orleans 2 days ago, so yes, expect Curry to play. He had 23 against the Pelicans. Expect them to dominate the Spurs. Like we said earlier with the Timberwolves, every game is absolutely crucial for the Golden State Warriors, right? Hey, Minnesota might win today. Maybe the Clippers go on the road and beat Cleveland. Golden State will need to match those wins as well. All those teams want to stay out the play-in because, right, 2 games and you're out, right? So the Warriors are definitely going to be trying to win this game. They're going to try to beat the absolute living hell out of the San Antonio Spurs. And the Spurs are just a young team that's still a couple years away. So I don't have much to say about San Antonio. We know Stephon Castle's likely the Rookie of the Year. Devin Vassell has been a hooper this season. And Keldon Johnson gave him 23 points in their loss to the Celtics last night. But it's the second night of a back-to-back for San Antonio. Golden State has Steph Curry back. They have Jimmy Butler in the lineup, right? Draymond Green's going to win the Defensive Player of the Year. They got the Pythagorean Theorem, Brandon Podziemski at the 2, and the Warriors are playing fairly good basketball right now. So I'd take the Warriors to win this game and cover. I don't think it's a horrible bet. I think they get away from San Antonio. The Spurs were somewhat competitive with the Celtics last night, and who knows who they sit on the second night of a back-to-back when their season is completely over and they have no playoff hopes. So give me the Warriors here. I think Golden State covers the 12.5 points, and they ultimately win the game as well at minus 750. Let's go on to our next game, and we go to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. The Philadelphia 76ers take on the Toronto Raptors. Great. Give me the Raptors, minus 3.5. Toronto doesn't play their starters in crunch time now, but that's okay. They've won 3 in a row. The Raptors are, upset that they've won 3 in a row, but they couldn't out-tank the Washington Wizards, the Brooklyn Nets, and the Charlotte Hornets. Can they try to out-tank the 76ers tonight? The answer to that question is no. The Raptors reserves are too good to not beat the Philadelphia 76ers reserves. Philly doesn't have too many injuries tonight. Tyrese Maxey's still out, Oubre out, Lowry out, Drummond out. So the Sixers got some guys tonight. It'll be likely Jared Butler, Quentin Grimes, either Lonnie Walker or Justin Edwards, Ricky Council, and Gershon Yabusele. All right, not great, but there's guys playing tonight for Philadelphia. For Toronto, Jakob Poeltl's resting. No Dick tonight. He is out with a knee injury, and Emmanuel Quickly is out due to rest purposes. Okay, well, Scotty Barnes is still on the court. RJ Barrett's still playing. You know how much we like Jamal Shed. I think Jacoby Walters had a very decent rookie season as well. We'll see probably either Orlando Robinson or Jonathan Mobo playing the 5. That's okay. Toronto, again, they still have Scotty Barnes. They still got RJ Barrett. We know Shed and Walter are more than capable as rookies as well. And I think Toronto's going to be more than fine in this spot. Philadelphia is absolutely atrocious at basketball. We know that. Yes, Quentin Grimes can hoop. He's taken a little bit of a step back from his Linsanity run a couple weeks ago. Philly hasn't won a game since Sunday, March 16th against the Mavericks. And before that, it's a win over the Jazz. They're not good. And it's the second night of a back-to-back on top of that. They got blown out last night at home against the Heat. Miami beat them 118-95. I'm not telling the Raptors are going to blow out the Sixers, but they should be able to handle them pretty easily. So give me Toronto here on the road to beat the 76ers. I think they win, and I think they cover the 3.5 points as well. We go on to our final game of the night, and we move to Phoenix, Arizona. I'm taking the underdogs here. Give me the Suns. I'm taking Phoenix to beat Houston here. Hear me out. Again, the race for the playoffs. This game means a lot more for Phoenix than it does Houston. And I think we start to see the kinks in the armor for Houston here. I don't know. I did call this a long time ago. But I think Houston's going to start to fall off a cliff here, guys. I don't think they're a playoff-ready team. And I don't think they're making a run. Yes, Şengün's been great. Jalen Green's been great. But now this is where stuff actually starts to count. You've got 2 games, I think. They got a game and a half over the Nuggets and 3 games over the Lakers right now. I think they're going to fall to 4. The way I see the West going right now, Thunder, Nuggets, Lakers, Rockets. Kind of how I see it going, the top 4. I think this is the start of a lot of losing for the Rockets. And they lose to Phoenix tonight. They lose the Lakers tomorrow. They'll beat Utah, obviously, but then OKC lost, Golden State lost, Clippers lost, Lakers lost, Nuggets lost. I think they're going to go 59-23. Nope, that's very wrong. 59 and 32. No, oh my goodness, 50. This is really bad. I kid you not, I'm not the worst at math. Oh, that's why, because they have 48 wins. Oh my goodness, that's why it didn't make sense. I was trying to do the math in my head. They're gonna be 49-33 there. I was thinking like how. Anyways, I thought they had 59 wins. Anyways, that would be weird too. I think they win one more game this year. It's Utah. Guys, they're in for some tough outings, and I think this is the start of it. Guys, the Suns need to win. Because if the Suns lose this one, they already have a tough enough schedule coming up. This is a must-win spot for them. I don't think Kevin Durant lets this team lose tonight. Durant's been playing really good ball recently, and we know what this team is here for Phoenix. It is just KD and Devin Booker. I understand that. Is Beal still out? He's not playing. That probably helps them. Who knows, right? I mean, guys, I've seen glimpses of greatness from the Suns. Not greatness, but I've seen glimpses of decentness out of the Suns this year. Hell, their last victory on Monday against the Milwaukee Bucks. Back-to-back losses to the Celtics and Timberwolves. That's okay. Boston's one of the best teams in the league. And Minnesota owns Phoenix right now, so who cares, right? They gotta start compiling some victories. There are really no easy games left in the schedule other than a home spot in their second to last game against the San Antonio Spurs. They need this victory over the Rockets. I think they get it. We'll see, because the Rockets are really good defensively. I completely understand that. And we'll see how the Suns are effectively able to score. I like the shooting out of Phoenix. They got to beat the Rockets eventually. They're 0-2 against them this season, but both those games are played in Houston. They lost both those by 8 and 7 points. So the Suns have been competitive with the Rockets all year long. They just haven't been able to close games out against them. This time they get the game in Arizona. It's a must-win spot. KD's been hot. D-Book's been playing really good ball as well. And I think they are able to find a way here to beat the Rockets, who again, yes, they've looked really good recently, but now the real schedule comes into play. We will see. I'm taking the Phoenix Suns to close the night, though. Keep your points. We'll go plus 115 on the Phoenix Suns to win the game outright here at home against the Houston Rockets. So, folks, thank you all for watching our NBA predictions here on March 30th. If you have not yet, though, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for more. Make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy the video. Make sure to comment if you do disagree with any of the picks. Folks, thank you all for watching, and Mamba forever.